Every deer hunter should know how to properly cook deer, yet so many mess it up. In this video, we're going to take you through our top 5 ways to cook deer. We'll cover everything from smoked deer ribs, venison Bolognese pasta, the viral grilled sausage bread, and butter injected and smoked roast. But we're going to start it all off with teaching you how to properly cook venison backstrap.
Venison strip loin, also known as backstrap in the hunting community, comes from the top of the spine. This cut is very lean and tender. Most people actually cut this into steaks, but today we're going to leave this whole and then cut it into steaks after the cooking. The best part is this whole cook only takes about 15 minutes. Step 1 is to let your meat come to room temp before cooking. You want the meat to be the same temperature on the inside as the outside for even cooking. The next step is to season heavily with salt and pepper, garlic powder, and a little paprika. Okay, we're ready to get cooking. Got this cast iron pan and we're going to heat it up to medium-high heat. I'm just adding a little bit of sunflower oil here. What we want to do is sear the loin. This is going to produce those deep, rich, meaty flavors and colors that we all love. This process is actually known as the Maillard reaction. So just get your loin into the pan and you want to hear that hard sizzle. What we're going to do is we're going to cook this and we're not going to move it until it's ready to be moved. When it's ready to be flipped, it will release from the pan. When it does release, just flip it over and brown as many ends as you can. Okay, we got the meat all browned nicely. We're gonna turn the heat down to low. I'm gonna add in a big stick of butter and some rosemary and a crushed garlic clove. What we wanna do here is we're gonna be basting the meat in this butter. As this cooks, all the rosemary and the garlic's gonna flavor the butter, and it's actually going to continue to cook this meat as we baste. Just tilt the pan a little bit towards you so that part is over the actual flame. After a few seconds of basting or so, just rotate the loin, and this will just ensure that we have even cooking. We're gonna try to aim for medium rare on this, but when it comes to venison, you really should be looking to cook to rare to at the most medium rare. Medium rare is 135 degrees. So our plan will be to baste this until we hit about 130 degrees, because we actually want to stop cooking about 5 degrees before the doneness that you want. This will ensure that when the resting period happens, your meat will still be perfectly cooked. A little tip for you when it comes to figuring out the temperature of your meat and you don't have a thermometer is just use the palm of your hand. This right here feels like raw meat. If you take your thumb and your finger and you press them together, this here now feels like rare. This would be medium rare, that would be medium well, and that would be well done. So just compare, we're looking for medium rare, so just finger and thumb together, feel this, and then press your meat. When you get same consistency, it's time to remove. Okay, the meat's rested for 10 minutes and we're ready to get slicing, but I do want to stress, please let your meat rest. If we were to cut into this right after cooking, all those juices would have just poured straight out. Since we gave it time to rest, the protein molecules had time to reabsorb all that moisture. So just grab a sharp knife and just start slicing fairly thick chunks. You see beautiful pink meat here and you don't see any juices running out onto the board. And that's simply because we let it rest. Now just arrange the meat on a platter and add a little bit of salt. Finally, top it off with a couple spoonfuls of that hot brown butter. Hey guys, we're currently in southern Alberta on a mule deer hunt, and we were lucky enough to actually harvest a great buck the other day. So today is my favorite part as we're smoking mule deer ribs. All right, so the first step I've already done is I've gone ahead and I preheated the smoker to 200 degrees. Next, we're gonna actually be doing a little bit of prep to get these guys ready for the smoker. First off, I want to say this recipe can be used for any domestic animal like pork. Pork ribs are great, but today we got some mule deer ribs. So first step, we got to remove this membrane. It's a really, really thin membrane, and with help with a fork or a knife, you can just slide it in and get the fork underneath the membrane. And you just pull it up until you can get hold of it with a piece of paper towel, and a lot of it will pull off. It can be a little stubborn at times, but the goal here is to pull off as much of this membrane as you can before we actually start seasoning. So now that all the membrane is off, we actually get to the seasoning part. A lot of people actually don't eat the ribs of a deer, but you can see there's tons and tons and tons of meat here. So seasoning, first thing we want to do is cover everything in salt. We got some sea salt here. You can use sea salt or kosher salt, doesn't matter. You're going to want to season both sides generously. So now that everything is seasoned up with salt, the next step is mustard. Now, even if you don't like mustard, this flavor isn't really going to come through a whole lot. It's really just to help the rub stick to the meat. So it's just a plain yellow mustard. I'm going to go on and just slather it on. Gloves obviously help with this stage. I want to make sure it's nicely coated on all sides and all around the edges. Next step, we're actually going to want to apply the rub. So this is a rub that we have here is mixed like a sweet and spicy with brown sugar, paprika, cayenne pepper, celery salt, and you can put in anything you want to do. Pick up your favorite rub, make your own rub. It's something when you make your own rub is fun to do. You can try different flavors. So very generous. I get it all over, a nice thick coat, pat it down, help it adhere to the mustard. On both sides, again on the back end. And this rub will actually give the meat, when it's cooked, a really nice deep red color and some really, really nice flavor. And a rub like this is really, really useful on many different cuts. So I'll generally make a big batch of this, and I'll use it from ribs to giant pork roasts or deer roasts or moose roasts. You can kind of get the flavors you want, and then I'll change it up throughout the year. It may look like a lot of seasoning to some, but trust me, you're gonna want this nicely heavy coated. Okay, those are looking pretty good now. And that should do her. You can already see that dark red happening in the meat, and it's just gonna intensify as that thing cooks. So next step, we're actually gonna put these guys on the smoker. Okay, smoker is rolling, and we have a temp of 212, so that's perfect. We're looking to get around that 200 mark. What we want to do for the first part of the smoke is lift these guys on, and we want to go bone side down for this. We'll just get them right on the rack. And today we're smoking with a premium hardwood pellet blend. This is a mix of maple and cherry and hickory, and a really, really nice pellet for smoking ribs and a lot of different things. So they're in. This is gonna smoke for 3 hours, sometimes 2 if you're doing domestic, but for this we're gonna go for a full 3-hour smoke. Okay, so we're in 1 hour to our 3-hour smoke. What I'm gonna do now is actually do a mop. This mop sauce here is an apple cider vinegar base with some oil and then some other steak spices. You can add whatever you want or buy whatever is on the shelf, but this mop sauce is really gonna help moisturize all the meat during the smoke, because it is a long smoke. It won't dry them, it keeps the meat from drying out, and it adds a lot of flavor. I love the apple cider flavor. So, let's take a look at these guys, and they are looking good. So all we're gonna do, just like the name, mop all the ribs down. And you don't have to do the mop. Some people don't like doing any type of mop. You can play around with the flavoring. But I really like the acidic component of apple cider vinegar. Okay, this closes up. We're gonna smoke for another 2 hours. I'm gonna be doing this mop every 45 minutes or an hour. So the next step in our smoked mule deer ribs is the braising process. They've been smoking away now for 3 hours, but this next step will actually help speed up the cooking time, and we can actually impart some extra flavor. So first thing I like to do is grab some butter. We have 2 pieces of aluminum foil here, and they're just made it double wide. We just put a few slabs of butter down, And the butter is gonna add a lot of richness to this meat. It's gonna melt and the meat's gonna soak into it. It's gonna be really, really nice. The next step I like to do is maple syrup. Now you can do brown sugar, you can, don't do this, any type of sugar at all, but this sweet element really adds a nice little touch. So now we're gonna grab our ribs, and you can see really nice pliable at this stage. We're gonna go meat side down. It goes right on top, and then we're gonna repeat the same process. A little bit of butter. And then also another drizzle of maple syrup. And the final touch we do to actually make this a braising step is we're gonna add some juice. You can do apple juice, apple cider. This is an apple and orange and peach mix. We're just gonna add a little bit of juice in here. And then we're gonna roll it all up. You wanna make sure that this is wrapped nice and tight, all the sides. Just roll it up, and this one's ready to go back on the smoker. So when it comes to the braising step, we wanna make sure that we up the temp to 250 degrees, and we also wanna make sure that we place these ribs on the smoker, meat side down. We're gonna be braising these for 1 hour. So I have the rest of these ribs to do. We'll get them wrapped up and back on the smoker. And here they are, smoked mule deer ribs. All I gotta do now is cut them up and they're ready to serve. Hey guys, I'm really excited because today we're making venison bolognese. A pasta bolognese is a true Italian classic, and it's one of my personal favorites. I make it all the time with all kinds of different wild game meats. Today we're going to be making it with venison mixed with some pork, but the first step is making our sauce. And the first step in making the sauce is making the sofrito. The sofrito is a mix of vegetables. We have some diced up carrots and some sweet onion, and we have some celery that I'm going to be dicing up here in a minute. So we're going to be adding some garlic and a little bit of heat with some chili peppers. Just got to finish chopping up the rest of these veggies, and we'll get them in the pan. So now that we have the sofrito all prepped, the next step is to render some bacon. I have a few slices of really smoky bacon here. We're gonna add this into the pan with a little oil, render that fat out, and the next step we'll be adding in the venison and pork mix. Now that we got all the venison browned up just enough, there's lots of beautiful residue left in the pan, and that's going to be a huge flavor. So it's time to add in the sofrito. All the veggies are looking great. It has just a little bit of color. All the onions are nice and translucent. So the next step is a very important one. It may not be very popular with everyone. And that step is adding garlic and anchovies. I don't care if you don't like anchovies raw. You have to add this to the sauce. It adds so much umami effect, which is kind of like this extra flavor that you have that you can't really put your finger on it, but it's really, really good. So all we're gonna do here is we're gonna make a little bit of a well beside the veggies. We're gonna add a little bit of oil. And then we're gonna add the anchovies and garlic right in the middle. Now we're gonna slowly saute these up. We're gonna saute this for a couple more minutes, and then we're gonna add some rosemary, some of the heat, and we're gonna mix everything together. And there you have it, venison bolognese. All we got left to do is plate it up and dig in.
In this recipe, we're going to be injecting a venison roast with butter before smoking it and serving it with an amazing chimichurri sauce. First, set your smoker to 250 degrees. As your smoker is heating up, heavily season your venison with salt and pepper. We're using a couple sections of backstrap or loin tied together for this recipe, but you could also use a rump roast for this cook. To give this lean cut of meat some extra fat so it won't dry out during the cook, we like to inject it with some melted butter. Now get the venison on the smoker and smoke for 60 to 90 minutes, or when you reach an internal temp of 130 degrees. As your venison is smoking, make your chimichurri sauce. A chimichurri sauce is a great tangy and herby sauce perfect for grilled and smoked meats. To make it, dice up 4 cloves of garlic and 1 large shallot or small red onion. Now chop up about half a cup of fresh Italian parsley and a tablespoon of fresh oregano. For a little kick of heat, dice up 1 chili pepper. Keep the seeds in if you want your sauce a little hotter. Soak everything in about 3/4 cups of extra virgin olive oil and half a cup of red wine vinegar. Add the zest of a lime and the juice from half of it. Finally, add some salt and pepper and stir everything up really well. This sauce is best when you let it rest for at least 10 minutes, but even better the next day. When your venison reaches 130 degrees internal temp, remove it and let it rest on a rack slightly covered with foil for 10 minutes. After the resting period, simply slice it up, arrange it on a plate, season with some more salt, and spoon some of that chimichurri sauce on top. This cook works great as a main meal or even a tasty appetizer.
Today we're making wild game grilled sausage bread. When it comes to entertaining, one of our favorite appetizers to make is grilled sausage bread. This recipe takes no time at all to make, and hunters and non-hunters will love it. Today we're going to be using some venison sausage mixed with some pork, but you can use whatever you have at home. Let's get to it.
First, slice your bread in half and remove the top portion. Using the bottom half, scoop out the inside to create a pocket. Now throw down a layer of cheese. Today we're using provolone, but mozzarella would work great as well. For a kick of sweetness, add some pre-made caramelized onions on top of the cheese. Now top with the sausage meat. Slice the casings open or push out with your hands like we're doing here, pressing the meat down firmly as you fill the bread. And make sure your meat is spread out as close to the edge as possible. When you're ready to cook, move your bread over to the preheated grill and grill the bread meat side down over medium-low to medium heat with the lid closed for about 10 to 15 minutes. About halfway through the cook, carefully give it a quarter turn. This is also a good time to make sure your heat isn't too high. If your heat is too high, your bread may burn before the sausage is fully cooked through. When the sausage is done cooking, remove from the grill and top with some homemade chimichurri sauce. This tasty and zesty sauce will help cut through the fat from the sausage. You can find the directions for this sauce in the video description below.
And there you have it, wild game grilled sausage bread with a side of marinara sauce. Let's give this a try. This is so good. I don't care who you are, hunter, non-hunter, you're gonna love this meal. Thanks so much for watching. We really hope you give this recipe a try at home or in the field.
Hey folks, hope you enjoyed that video. Please hit the like button, comment, as we'd love to know how you felt about it. And if you'd like more great Canadian adventures, please subscribe and hit the notification button so you don't miss any new content coming out. And as always, our amazing outdoor adventures are shared on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Please come along for the adventure. We'd absolutely love to have you along for the ride.